And welcome back to the channel, guys. And today we're going to go through and chat to you about debt reduction or getting rid of one of your debts as a goal for 2021. If you're trying to get financially free or set up some kind of wealth strategy for yourself, reduction in debt or personal debt is actually a really good thing, or something very important that you actually need to do. Now, again, this is not personal financial advice. I am not a professional financial advisor. If you do need personal financial advice or information, go seek out someone who is a professional in your town or anything like that. These are just strategies and things that I've actually personally done in the past, which has actually helped me progress in my life financially. Now, same thing as always, guys, if you're finding value from the content I'm producing for you, hit the subscribe button, drop me a like, leave me a comment. I would love to hear back from you guys. So, we have just finished going through Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of people have probably been out there tempted or had been using their credit cards, buying new extra purchases, spending it on drinks and food, and just indulging in life as necessary. And over time, they probably just kept adding to that personal debt of theirs, especially if it was on the credit cards. Now, as I was saying earlier, if you actually want to kind of become financially free or build some kind of wealth for yourself, you'll actually have to get rid of that debt, because it does weigh you down. It's an unnecessary repayment which you have, and it won't kind of help you progress further in life or to that goal of financial freedom. So one of your goals for 2021 should be removing or getting rid of that personal credit debt. There's also another added bonus to actually removing that credit card debt and removing those debts from your life as well. You actually start feeling a lot better about yourself. You won't actually have that burden of credit and debt and things like that over your head, and you'll start feeling yourself progressing in life a little bit more. You'll become happier. Like, I actually personally felt a lot happier after I had this kind of burden of these debts lifted from me. I could actually spend a bit more freely as well. Like, I didn't have this debt over my head where I had to pay a couple $100 a week in total towards debts and creditors and things like that. And with that, it gave me a lot more freedom in my life as well. So something to also consider when in that personal journey of yours to financial freedom, that once you get rid of those debts or those toxic debts, it actually opens your life up a lot more, and you do become a lot happier as well. So I'm going to go through with you the strategies which I've done to actually get rid of my debt of credit card debts of in excess of $10,000, car finance of about $15,000, and I actually did this within about 6 months. Now, on the internet, there is a great amount of information and knowledge out there, but like I said, I'm going to go through with you the strategies which I use to actually get rid of my debt. So, let's get started, shall we? The first thing you should probably do when it comes to actually removing or reducing that credit card debt or personal debt is actually stop using a credit card. Seems pretty simple, but if we want to get out of that kind of cycle of debt and repayments and things like that, we don't want to keep adding to it, because we don't want to pull our credit card out to pay for extra, say, go to the movies or for dinner with someone, trying to impress someone, or whatever reason it is. You're just adding to that personal debt of yours. You know, you may be making regular repayments and paying it off slowly, but if you keep using it, you're just going to keep on that kind of hamster wheel and keep the process prolonged, and you're pretty much paying debt off for the rest of your life. So, like I said, first step is you actually want to stop using that credit card. Pretty obvious. From there, we actually want to look at making extra payments so that we can actually reduce those debts over time, or get out of that debt cycle a little bit faster. Now, there's a few ways in which you can actually do this. Now, if you are like myself, who had 3 credit cards and my personal car loan kind of thing, and unfortunately for me, I was actually in a job where I actually was earning a significant amount of money, I was able to increase my monthly repayments above the minimum across the board. But if that's not something that is available to you or that you're able to do, you got to look within your budget, which I actually outlined in the previous video on 7 steps to wealth creation in 2021. So I'll drop a link for that one below so you can listen to that as well. You want to try and look where you can kind of save some money in your personal budget, personal finance, then use that extra or excess money to pay off these debts a bit faster. Now, as I was saying, if you've got more than one debt, you want to look at which one you're probably going to pay off first, because it makes a difference if you pay off one of them completely, because you start a snowball effect for reducing and removing the rest of them. Now, there's two ways you can actually go about and do this. First one, you can actually pay off the one with the highest interest or the highest repayments, and that will actually kind of reduce how much extra interest is being added to that total debt, which means that over time you might be saving yourself a little bit of money. The other method you can actually use is to pay the smallest balance off first. Now this actually creates a psychological effect with you where you have a series of small wins. Now by doing that one, the smallest one first, you have that added endorphins of, excellent, I just paid off one of my credit cards, got rid of one of my debts, and then you can start working on paying the rest of them off as well. So sometimes it might mean that you have to kind of sit down and kind of map out your monthly repayments, or how fast one might get paid off compared to how much is still owing or how much will be owing over time. And like I said, I did this for myself. I actually sat down, wrote down all my debts which I owed, and which one was going to make the biggest difference to me or impact to me financially, because I had some which were slightly high interest rates, slightly greater balances, and different balances there as well, yeah. So, like I said, you want to see which one's going to make the biggest impact. So I went for this purpose of removing the one with the highest interest, because for me, it actually meant that I would have saved more money over to the long run, and I could keep more money in my pocket at the end of it. So what I did, yeah, pay that one off first, and then once you actually pay, and the next step as well, once you actually pay that one of those cards off, don't use that extra money to just live life the way you normally had. Use that extra money to pay off the other debts you might have. And then this creates that snowball effect where you are getting rid of your debt faster and just becoming financially free. So for me, it made sense to pay off my cards first, and then pay off my car, because my monthly repayments on my car didn't change if I made extra repayments, whereas my credit cards, the more money I was paying monthly, the faster I was actually paying it off. And another thing you actually do as well is pay it off weekly, because by paying it off weekly, you're actually reducing how much interest is being charged on that card as well, or on those debts or credits. So that's another thing to consider when paying off your debts. Another thing you actually do is when in initial stages of trying to pay your debts off is call the banking or the financial institution who issued you that debt and ask them for a lower interest rate. More often than not, they are willing to kind of negotiate a little bit on those interest rates, which means if you have a low interest rate, the monthly repayments becomes less because they're charging less interest. Now, if that was the case, yeah, like I said, multiple cards, don't just reduce your monthly repayments, keep the monthly repayments the same, because that will also help you speed up that debt repayment process. So something to consider there as well. And another thing as well is seeing if you can actually consolidate all your debts into one on a much smaller interest rate. Now, I'm pretty sure there's heaps of websites and information out there where you can actually do debt consolidation for sometimes 0% interest or credit swaps and stuff like that. Those are great, but remember, sometimes they add an extra fee to it. So if it doesn't make sense financially in the long run, don't go ahead and do it. See, for me it didn't, so I actually didn't go ahead and do that step. So hope that information has been actually useful for you. As I said, guys, if you find any of this information on this video useful, drop me a like, give me a comment, and don't forget to also hit that subscribe button at the top there. Cheers, guys.